Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into something that I think really hits that sweet spot between adventure, tradition, and some pretty cool science.
Yeah, we're talking about the upcoming 2025-2026 hunting seasons.
Exactly. And look, planning for these can feel like wading through, well, just tons of information. State websites, regulations, dates. It's a lot.
It really is.
So our mission today is basically to cut through that. We want to pull out the key stuff, the important dates, the big regulation points, and some unique opportunities for deer and turkey across different states.
We're using a really detailed guide from Basecamp Leasing as our foundation here. It's packed with specifics.
Think of this as your shortcut, helping you plan that next trip, maybe hone your skills, or just reconnect with that whole tradition.
And what's fascinating right off the bat is how different it all is. The excitement's the same everywhere, but the rules, they're all over the map. And understanding why they vary so much, not just state to state, but sometimes like zone to zone within one state, that's really key.
So it's not just about following rules, it's about understanding the bigger picture.
Exactly. It makes you a more responsible hunter, a more ethical hunter, and honestly, probably a more successful one too, because you appreciate the science and the management that goes into setting up a season.
Okay, so that makes me wonder then, if it's also scientific, why can't states just, sync up their dates? Why does it have to be this complex patchwork?
Well, it's complex because it's scientific, not in spite of it. These seasons aren't just picked out of a hat.
Right.
They're set very carefully by state wildlife agencies, your DNR, Fish and Wildlife folks, and they're using hard data. They're looking at things like animal breeding cycles, that's huge,
Okay.
and population sizes, how healthy the herds are, even migration patterns, especially for birds. It's all tailored to the specific conditions on the ground in that specific place. Take deer, for example. A lot of deer seasons line up with the rut, right?
Yeah.
Mating season.
When they're moving more.
Exactly. They're more active, maybe a bit less cautious. So that increases the chances for a successful harvest. But then, flip side, you almost never see hunting allowed in late spring or early summer.
Because of the fawns.
Precisely. That's when fawns are born, totally dependent on their mothers. You have to protect them during that vulnerable time. It's absolutely critical for keeping the population healthy long term.
Got it. So it's this really careful balancing act, managing opportunity, but also protection. And I guess that same logic applies to other animals too, like waterfowl. That seems even more complicated with migration.
Oh, absolutely. Waterfowl is a whole other layer. Seasons there have to align with the major flyways, the routes birds take.
Yeah.
And also with bird numbers, the idea is to allow hunting when populations are strong, usually after the breeding season, so it's sustainable. It doesn't harm the overall numbers for the future. It's all part of this ongoing wildlife management strategy.
So for you listening, getting this why isn't just trivia. It actually makes the whole experience richer, doesn't it? Connects you to the whole cycle.
It really does. And thinking bigger picture, this is why you see such dramatic differences state to state. You've got unique geography, different climates, different animal populations.
So what works in, say, Maine isn't going to work in Florida.
Not at all. And sometimes, like we said, even within one state, you'll have different zones with different rules. Maybe a northern zone starts deer season earlier because winter hits harder there.
Okay.
While a southern state might run later because the weather's milder. And then for migratory birds, you add in federal rules, even international treaties, because those birds cross borders.
Wow.
Plus, you often see seasons split by weapon type archery first, then muzzleloader, then general firearm. That helps manage hunting pressure, spreads people out, gives different folks different kinds of opportunities.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting then. Let's actually look at some states and see how this plays out. Let's start down south. Alabama comes up in our research. Known for having a lot of deer.
Yeah, abundance is definitely the word for Alabama. Maybe not the top spot for, giant record book bucks all the time, but for sheer numbers, excellent. Great for putting venison in the freezer and still good quality whitetails.
And the regulations reflect that abundance.
They do. They've got pretty generous bag limits. You can take 3 antlered bucks total across all the seasons, just 1 per day though. And the unantlered limits vary by zone. Plus, the seasons are long. Archery, mid-October clear through to February 10th.
Wow.
And gun season on private land, late November, also right through to February 10th. Add in spring and fall turkey seasons.
Yeah.
It makes Alabama really appealing if you're thinking about leasing land year-round.
That's a lot of opportunity. Okay, let's shift gears. Head northwest a bit to Iowa. Now, Iowa has this huge reputation, right? The big bookie state.
Yeah.
What's the secret sauce there? Is it just luck?
Definitely not luck. Iowa's reputation is hard-earned. It comes down to, well, really exceptional management of the deer herd and regulations specifically designed to let bucks get older, reach that trophy potential.
How do they do that?
It's a mix. They've got fantastic habitat, great food sources, top-tier genetics. That's the foundation. But then there's the management. They use a draw system for tags, which limits the number of hunters for certain permits.
So it's harder to get a tag.
It can be, yeah, it often involves preference points, but there are still options. And crucially, there's this strong culture, especially in southern Iowa, of landowners really practicing quality deer management. They're working together to let younger bucks walk, aiming for those mature animals.
So it's a combination of state rules and landowner cooperation.
Exactly. Their archery season runs October 1st to mid-January, and they have a couple of shotgun seasons in December. It really is geared towards quality.
That makes sense. Now, speaking of trophies, Kentucky pops up with some impressive stats, like second in the nation for Boone and Crockett bucks per square mile. That's serious.
It really is. Kentucky consistently punches above its weight for trophy whitetails. 7th historically for total Boone and Crockett entries, too.
But the big draw, according to our source, it's maybe less about the stats and more about actually getting to hunt them. Something about tags.
Yes, and this is huge for a lot of hunters. Over-the-counter tags. No drawings needed.
Ah, okay.
You just buy your tag. That takes away a massive amount of planning, stress, and uncertainty compared to a draw state like Iowa.
That's a big difference.
It is. And Boone and Crockett, for folks who might not know, is just a recognized way to score big game animals. Antlers, mostly. So those rankings mean Kentucky produces really big deer. Another cool thing, their archery season starts super early. September 6th this year, running through mid-January.
Why is early so special?
Velvet. Starting that early means you have a chance to harvest a buck while his antlers are still covered in velvet, that soft, fuzzy skin they have while the antlers are growing. That's a unique trophy for a lot of people.
Okay, velvet bucks and no draw. I can see the appeal. All right, let's pivot completely. Florida. You think beaches, sunshine, maybe not hunting first. But the material calls it unique and compelling. What's the angle there?
Florida's really interesting. A lot of it comes down to the mild weather, obviously. Compared to northern states, you get these really extended hunting seasons, and you can hunt in, frankly, much more comfortable conditions. No freezing your tail off.
Ah, yeah, that's a plus.
And the landscape is incredibly varied. Pine forests, swamps, wetlands. Those wetlands are key for duck hunting, by the way. Florida's a major stop on the Atlantic Flyway, and because the water rarely freezes, it's consistently good.
And deer and turkey.
Yep. Seasons vary a lot by zone because the state's so long, but archery can start as early as August down south in Zone A.
August. Wow.
Yeah. And some general gun seasons run all the way into late February. Turkey seasons are usually March and April, split by region. So yeah, if you want comfortable weather and long seasons, Florida's a surprisingly good bet.
Climate really does shape everything, doesn't it? Okay, how about Nebraska? Our notes say it's often underestimated for big whitetails. Why is it flying under the radar?
That's a good question. Nebraska sort of quietly gets it done. It has all the right ingredients, good genetics, plenty of food, the right kind of climate. And there's this trend over the last 20 years showing more and more older bucks surviving.
So better age structure.
Exactly. In some areas, like 90% of the bucks taken are 2 years old or older, which means if you see a 4 or 5-year-old buck, there's a really good chance it's going to be Boone and Crockett caliber.
Interesting. And turkeys.
Oh, Nebraska is top tier for turkeys. Seriously, some of the best hunting in the country. And a cool perk is you can buy up to 3 spring permits online. Plus, depending on where you are, you can hunt different subspecies, Merriam's out west, Rios and hybrids centrally. Eastern's over by Iowa and Missouri. It's a turkey slam destination for some.
3 tags and multiple subspecies. Okay, Nebraska definitely sounds underrated. Let's go big now. Texas, everything's bigger, right?
No.
But the hunting scene seems unique because almost all the land, like 97% is private.
Huh?
How does that work for hunters?
That private land ownership really defines Texas hunting. Leasing is the tradition there. Hunters lease land from ranchers, often year after year. And it can actually be great value because you get exclusive access.
And long seasons, too.
Oh, yeah. Deer season can stretch out for 3, 4, even 5 months, depending on the zone and weapon. Archery starts late September. General season in the North Zone runs November through early January. South Zone goes even later, mid-January.
Plenty of time.
Tons of time. Plus, you've got feral hogs year-round. And depending on the ranch, you might hunt javelina, quail, dove, turkey, even mule deer or exotics. The whitetail population is huge and stable, around 4 million. And they use antler restrictions, and a lot of counties rules about only shooting bucks with certain size antlers, which has really improved the quality and age of bucks overall.
Wow, that's a whole different world down there.
Hey,
Okay, last stop. Let's bust a myth, maybe. New Jersey. Not exactly the first place you picture when someone says hunting trip, but is there more to it?
there absolutely is. It surprises a lot of people, but get this. Something like 42% of New Jersey is forest, and most of that, 62%, is privately owned. So finding a lease is pretty desirable, gives you guaranteed access.
42% forest. Okay, didn't expect that.
Right, and their main deer seasons actually add up to over 100 days. Depending on how you hunt bow, muzzleloader, shotgun, you could potentially take up to 6 deer a year.
6 deer in New Jersey.
Yep. And turkeys. They made a huge comeback since the 70s. Wildlife officials figure there are at least 20,000 birds statewide now. So, fall bow for deer starts mid-September. Permit muzzleloader runs from December deep into February. Spring turkey is April into May. One thing to note, though, is they don't currently have a fall turkey season where you can take either sex bird.
So definitely an overlooked option on the East Coast. We've covered a lot of ground. Alabama's numbers, Iowa's giants, Kentucky's access, Florida's climate, Nebraska's turkeys, Texas's leases, New Jersey's surprise forests. It really shows how varied things are.
It really does.
Yeah.
Science, tradition, local conditions, it all mixes together differently everywhere.
So wrapping this up for everyone listening, what's the big takeaway as they start thinking about 2025, 2026?
Well, hopefully this gives you a great overview, some ideas, maybe spark some interest in a new state or season. But, and this is crucial, this is just the starting point.
Right?
You absolutely must always, always check the official regulations from the specific state wildlife agency you plan to hunt in. Get their latest guide, check their website.
Things can change, right? Even mid-season sometimes.
They can. Dates can shift slightly, rules can be updated, emergency closures can happen. And remember, rules often vary by zone within a state. So double check everything for where and when you plan to hunt. It's about being legal, being ethical, avoiding tickets, or worse.
And respecting the resource.
Exactly. Following the rules helps the conservation efforts that keep these populations healthy for everyone.
Yeah.
So verify before you go, always.
Solid advice. Be informed, be responsible. Okay, as we think about all this, the science, the management, it kind of leads to a bigger question, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you think, okay, we know the science sets the seasons now, but looking ahead, say the next 5 years, what other things might start influencing those regulations? Things like bigger habitat shifts or maybe ongoing climate change patterns. How could those factors reshape hunting rules down the line? What does that mean for the future of managing wildlife and conserving these species? It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
That is definitely something to chew on. A great thought to leave everyone with as they plan their own adventures. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive today. Until next time, stay curious.